Were they recording or just note taking?
It said it was a note taker, but it also came up as saying that it was going to record. So I think
Okay.
I think I am recording now also. So just so everybody knows, I have it recording now too. We can go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to go through some of the frontline updates and just some LACA and Connect updates. So we will go ahead and get started. That way we keep on our time schedule today. Um, this is just everything we're going to chat about. Now, there were some changes to the PowerPoint that I had sent out, so I will send out a fresh copy of the PowerPoint after our meeting today. Stephanie, do you want to go ahead and talk about this?
Sure. So this coming November, LACA is up for a site review. And that's something that happens, I believe, every 5 years, for all ITCs. I know a couple of you have participated in a LACA site review in previous years, but we will be asking for your assistance. The Management Council, they oversee all of the 17 ITCs in the state. And in conjunction with DEW, this is how they go around on a 5 year cycle and evaluate all of the ITCs. So our review is a 2 day process, November 13th and 14th. But on November 14th, from 10 to 11:30, we're going to be asking for any participation that we can get from our student EMIS teams in the districts. So I have asked that this particular session be virtual or in person. I know the EMIS staff are able to, get out of the building. And those of you that aren't sitting, at the front desk of a building, you might be able to come. But we would like to have input from school counselors that use our services, admin assistants that help with maybe attendance, scheduling, you name it. So on November 14th, we'll send out an invite here soon. If you could come in person, we would really appreciate it, but there will be a virtual link that you can use. Um, and during that process, a couple members from the site review team will just be, it will be a conversation with this group. None of us will be in the session with you, so they're going to ask for feedback on training that we offer, our help desk ticketing system, um, response time, just all of our customer service with each of the districts. So the more individuals that we can get to participate, obviously, that feedback's really helpful to us. So your treasurers and fiscal staff will be in a separate session that same day, and all of the superintendents, my board members, will be in a session as well. And then they do a technical session. So the IT coordinators will be meeting in a room. So just wanted to sort of prep this, and that invite will be coming soon. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Also, yes, I see the question. It will be held at CTEC. Our offices are on CTEC's property now. So in the invite, there will be instructions on exactly where you'll go. Everyone's going to meet in what they call their career lab. It was their old library. For the EMIS staff, that's where you've had some of your larger trainings. So the site review will take place on CTEC's property. Um, I also get to share some good news. I will be talking to the superintendents about this, but Frontline has I believe it's a 5 year contract with the Management Council and all of the ITCs. In that contract, they do have the ability to do slight increases each year to their fees. They have notified all of the ITCs that for the next 2 years, for the remaining 2 years of the contract, they are not going to do a price increase for grade book, student information, and data map. I do want to be clear though, that did not include their other services. So I know some people are using Frontline Central, absence management, have asked for quotes on health management. Um, they're two separate things. So the price freeze is on the Progress Book suite. So good news from Frontline on that. Also, I will say the Connect districts, you'll want to make sure you just, pay close attention to communication from Connect, because all of the ITCs have a different fee structure in place. So I don't want to speak on their behalf as to how that frontline fee gets, translated from what they receive and then what goes to the district. So that communication will come directly from them.
Thank you, Stephanie. Are there any questions about any of that before we go on? Okay. I am going to talk about a couple of just kind of general student information items, and then we'll go into some of the changes that we should be seeing here with the next release. So everyone has probably heard House Bill 96, the budget bill, by now. A lot of it is not going to affect much within student information. However, they did slide in a little piece about attendance. So there are some attendance changes that are coming. They are essentially going to be getting rid of a lot of the House Bill 410 absence intervention, a lot of the threshold type stuff, and focus more on chronic absenteeism. So there are going to be changes, and then there is also an element that is going to be adjusted for the EMIS side as to what is reported. We're still waiting on all of the details on it, but they are just pushing this out, and it really sounds like if you take a look at the House bill and all of the changes, it sounds like they are really leaving this up to district policy. That's kind of the main takeaway that we have gotten from everything, but there will be changes that are happening in the system once we have a little bit more of a direction. But a lot of you guys already have your attendance policies set for the school year, and that's okay. You can still keep your current attendance policy. You don't have to make any changes. Like I said, the way that the House bill reads, there is a lot of flexibility for district interpretation. Just what will be reported to the state will look a little bit different. So there are some reports out there, and I think Matt is going to talk about something that he has created a little bit later. But one of the reports that's out there in the Analytic Hub, if you want to get currently the yearly absence detail report, will show you your percentages. So this will break it down by each student and show you that total absence percentage and then the total attendance percentage there. Now, what Matt is going to show you later will be probably more of what you're looking for, because this one is very basic and you can't do too much with entering a date range or that kind of thing on this. This is the whole school year, and we've had a lot of different requests coming in based off of these changes. So like I said, Matt's going to talk more about a report later, but just know that this one is out there and you can get their total attendance percentage by running this report. The next thing that has kind of come down the pipe is also religious expression days. This was introduced last year, kind of mid-year, and we were kind of scrambling. Nobody really knew how to set this up in the system. Our best practice for right now is to have these absence types as a non-absence, but have a religious holiday reason code. So someone within your district has the ability to add those reason codes. So you can go in and create a religious holiday reason code. Now, again, there's 3 days that the state is allowing for this, and it is a district approval. So that should be written into your district policy. We all have talked at the state level, and we are kind of pushing to have a new absence code entered in, one that with all these changes, one that's not necessarily medical, but one that's not necessarily religious expression days, but just an overall generalized, don't count this towards those totals kind of absence type. It is not available right now, but like I said, we have had a lot of discussion at the state level with this. And now that we're getting a little bit more clarification on the previous House bill that I had mentioned, 96, they're working towards trying to get something else entered in there for us. So it's not available at this time, but they are working on a reason for that would be not including these days in on those totals. So for right now, the best practice is to use non-absence so that it's not calculating in against the students. But again, you should have a board policy in regards to the religious expression days. If anybody has questions, feel free to unmute yourself or you can type it in the chat. But I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. So if anyone at LACA can kind of keep an eye on the chat too, I would appreciate that.
Hi, it's Bethany. I just had a quick question on the sorry. With the 3 days with district approval, so they need to contact us in advance, correct?
Correct.
If they don't, and then claim it's religious, is that district discretion?
It's district decision. You should, I don't know if you have it written into your policy yet, but that is something that they have left it up to the districts. They've left a lot of interpretation up to the districts. So that's up to you guys.
Okay.
But
I just made a note to look at our policies again. So,
but that's one of the things that they're suggesting is that just to write it into your policy, but if it's not written into your policy, there is a lot of district interpretation on that. So that's totally up to you guys with how you approve those days. But because they do require the district approval, whether that's ahead of time or after the fact, that's part of the fun.
I was just going to say, this is all very exciting. I'm thrilled to get into this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
If you need help adding a reason code or anything like that, just reach out to me and I can help add that additional religious reason code for you guys. This is just another general reminder. I've had a lot of questions on this, so if you can pass this on to folks that would be running these reports, that would be great. The Analytic Hub attendance reports, remember, they are a little tricky this time of year because at the start of school year, a lot of kids haven't met those thresholds yet, which is great. But sometimes you don't see a building option or a status option or a grade level even in the drop downs for when you're running those reports. And that's okay. And it's actually a good thing because no one has met or qualified to meet the data required for that report. So essentially it's saying it's a good thing that you don't have your building or your grade level in there. Or a specific status code because those kids are coming to school and they are not on the attendance threshold reports or on any of these reports yet. Same with discipline. You may not see a drop down available. And that's probably the biggest question is my access is taken away. I can't see my building anymore, but it's actually not the case. These reports just work a little bit differently. I think it is extremely confusing, but it's actually a good thing at the end of the day. So make sure you pass that on to folks running those reports. And we've had a lot of questions about this come up lately as well. So just another reminder, if a student took CCP courses over the summer for summer school, and they bring you their transcript, the college sends the transcript, these should be entered in the previous school year. So we don't want to add this into the current school year under the manually entered course history. It's going to be in that previous school year. So you're going to navigate back to the previous year and then locate that student and add the CCP courses in there. And then you will also just want to make sure that you enter the CCP credit as well. So the high school and the college IRN. Again, this is just annual reminders, so nothing new, just we've had some turnover in some of the guidance offices, and this question has come up more this year, I think, than it has in the past. This is also the time for student photos. I've been getting a lot of zip drives of student photos. So if you have your photos back and you need me to send, I've actually, it's worked out well to get Google, you can zip the drive and send me a Google link, or you can request a Dropbox link and I can send you a secure Dropbox where you can just load your zipped files on there. Remember, they do need to be named by student ID. Most of the photography companies that we're working with already know this, and they know the requirements that you need. So it's a very quick and easy process for me to get those loaded into the system. I just need to have that zipped file, and then once I load them into student information, I pass them on to the library team here, and they are able to get your library system updated.
How was your walk?
Are there any questions? Okay. Some of the updates that are coming up, we are, as a ITC, are being trained on the new release the first week of October. So typically when we are trained, it is released after that. So hopefully they won't tell us a date yet, unfortunately, but hopefully once we're trained, it will be coming out pretty quickly after that, given there are no issues or bugs when they install it into our play environment, that is. So we will send an email once the new release is out there and available. Some of the changes that I'm going to talk about today are mainly in your grad plan, your graduation tracking area. Currently in the system, it's named graduation points and graduation points summary page. So there are going to be a little bit of changes from points to graduation tracking. So when you go to your students menu, you won't see graduation points anymore. It'll say graduation tracking, just small changes, and then a graduation summary is what it's going to show there instead of graduation plan. So small changes on that part. They're renaming the graduation summary search and removing the point value in the graduation pathway column. So again, just some updates to align more with the actual graduation area, graduation tracking piece that ODAW is requiring. They have, they make tweaks and changes all the time. So we are trying to make sure that this is aligning more with what the state is wanting out there than when it was first released. So just some small updates, name changes, that kind of thing there. The update credit requirement views are going to be adjusted as well. And so again, when it first came out, it was the EMIS subject area for credit. And now that's going to be changed to the core subject area because that's more of what they are looking for there. Basically, it just buckets it all under the core subject area instead of the EMIS subject area for credit. So again, it's all going to be calculating behind the scenes, just kind of some different changes visually. There is a new ACT layout. So the update is going to include the new layout and how everything is needed for the new layout. It's going to update the process to accept any case in the header row. I know that was a big issue that some of our districts have run into, is importing that information in there. So that is going to be updated. And then also the Okta results are going to be added onto that graduation plan. So as more areas, as we are able to, we kind of sneak in these different updates to the graduation plan. It's one of those things that was released because we needed it out there, and then we're going to slowly continue to add to it and to make everything in the system kind of flow through the graduation plan area. So that is the Okta is going to be added onto there and then realigned with the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal area as well. So there's just some visual changes that are going to happen as well as adding that CTE, the Okta information. A defect that is fixed, this is a huge one. I have had this question a lot. So I'm very excited that this is getting fixed. The graduation summary, if in this situation, you guys probably all have heard of this situation, but it's if the additional requirements are met. So if Algebra 1 or ELA 2 is passed and the other just has 2 more attempts, the graduation plan was not showing that it was fixed or not showing that it had been met. And it was really confusing to a lot of people because they did meet the requirements, but the plan wasn't updating to show that they had actually met that. So that defect is going to be fixed. And again, I am extremely excited about this because I have had this reported for a while. So they found the logic, they were able to fix it, and it's going to be adjusted in this next release. Oh, sorry. Okay, I guess I was going to say, sorry, Beth, you're up next. Are there any questions for me in regards to student information? Like I said, the release is coming. We're getting trained the first week of October. I will send out detailed notes as soon as everything is installed, and you will see everything there. But we just ask that you please pass that along so that everyone within your district that works in student information will be able to see the updates that have coming. This one, like I said, the counselors are really gonna, your high school counselors are really gonna be excited for some of these graduation plan updates. So make sure that you just pass it on to them as well. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. I don't have much to present here for gradebook. I just wanted to do some reminders of the training options that I have for teachers. New teachers for the beginning of the year. I keep those pretty simple. Obviously, we're already in September, but if there is anyone that's new that would like a session with me, I'd be happy to meet with them, or new teachers that have been playing around in there and would like a follow-up session to dive deeper. I would be happy to meet with your whole staff or just a few teachers. So just reach out if you have some new teachers that are struggling. Also returning teacher trainings, just refresher that would highlight tools, address any questions, go over some underused features, and just a reminder to them how to reach out to us for support. Then I have one-on-one support. New teachers or returning teachers, we can do one-on-one. Some teachers prefer that, just ask questions privately. So that is an option as well. And then lastly, I have open labs via Zoom. Flexible, I can do half day, full day. I just basically sit here on my computer and work, and teachers can drop in anytime and ask questions. I would just share a link with your building, and they can share it with all the staff, and they can pop on and ask questions. So if that's something, report card time, or again, anyone that wants to learn more than they're using, that would be a good time for that as well. So just wanted to throw those training options out there as a reminder that I'm here for that. If you need that, anything else, just let me know.
Okay. Jenny?
Okay. Thank you. So I've just got a few things to go over for Same Goal. At the beginning of the year, we always have a beginning, mid-year, and end of the year training. This year, Thursday, October 2nd, we will be having our beginning of the year reminders, trainings. This is going to be some EMIS and best practices. If you'd like to attend, please register using that link. I also have sent this out to all of our special education team to join, schedule a time to review your same goal setup, as we have had things updated in same goal, and it's a good time to look at your security, look at your user roles, maybe your settings, some of your settings as a district, some of your district banks. So I have also sent this link out to all the special education directors and administrators. Great time to meet with me. Something that I didn't put on here, I do want to mention for special education, federal child count is coming up October 31st, and LACA is providing, our EMIS team is providing a training, and it is an EMIS training. Highly recommend that special education, whomever will be helping troubleshoot this federal child count, I recommend inviting your special ed, either administrator or director, whomever that is that will be helping troubleshoot those, to attend with your EMIS person. And that training is scheduled for November 6th, and it is virtual or it is in person. Again, special ed people must attend with their EMIS people to come to this meeting. So I apologize, I did not have that on the sheet. And then there's how to contact support for Same Goal, my direct email, and also we prefer that you use the ticket system. So there's the ticket system for our LACA districts and our Connect districts. And then I also wanted to bring up, we've talked about in-person meetings. I'm actually very excited for this. We are having on December 11th, I'm just waiting to get the details to ensure that we have a room offering, but we're going to do peer sharing, practical SPED solution, hands-on activities, treats and prizes. I would love to have someone from every district show up if possible. But it is going to be meaningful and also fun. So stay tuned to the event calendar to get this scheduled. Again, I'm aiming for December 11th from 1 to 3. And the next slide here, this is an update that will be coming with the new release. Currently, there is the import for the SPS FD records. There has been an error message, and this is going to be fixed with the new release. So I wanted to mention that to the districts that have noticed this error. This will be fixed in the new release. I'm not sure when that is, but we'll keep you posted about that. So along with the beginning of the year and special education, I wanted to talk about the disability alerts that can be added in student information. And this also rolls over into your grade book. And this allows teachers to see if a student is on an IEP or has a 504. For districts that are not aware of this, we can have those disability alerts bulk loaded for you. They actually come, the alerts will come from your FD tab, and it will show if a student has a disability. And I gave you some examples. If that student has a disability, it would say student on IEP, see same goal. Or if a student is on a 504, and an example of that alert could be students on a 504, see same goal. To request a bulk update, you can submit a ticket to gradebook@laca.org, and we can get those bulk imported. And if you have any questions or further concerns about this, feel free to reach out to me directly or via gradebook@laca.org. A few reminders for same goal. as the forms have not officially been released for special ed, as we're patiently waiting to get that release. I just wanted to remind districts it's a great time to look at your district banks and same goal, make sure they're updated. They're the way that you would like them to look at, manage your permissions and same goals also, like all of your users, ensure that the users are correct. And maybe if they need deleted, added, look at their user roles in case they have moved buildings. And also inside of Same Goal, there's an update that you can use now to check mark for your preferences. So you can get an email, or in the little bell, you can get a notification, or you can get a push notification that would come to you directly in Same Goal. So those are a few things just for the beginning of the year for special education. And or RTI, again, it's several different things inside of Same Goal. So whatever you're using Same Goal for, these are things that you can look at. So what's new? Let's see. What's new in Same Goal? We have new RIMPs that have been added this year, and they have removed the old RIMPs. So you will now just see the two new RIMPs. And this is something you want to look at to ensure that the correct user roles have access to your RIMPs if you're using RIMPs inside of Same Goal. And you want to make sure those are updated to the correct user role. And for our Same Goal Pro users, translation notifications are different, and validation roles are also different. So take a look, check that link out. They've added new reports for RTI/MTSS. So those are some good reports if you're using it for RTI and MTSS. And for special education, they have also added a special education overview report that is amazing. It shows the disability, the LRE, and ESY, and all related services. So this may be helpful for the federal child count, excess cost, other reports that you may be, or other reports that you just need to find that information. Does anyone have any questions? I know that was a lot of information. Maybe I went too fast and I apologize. Any questions about Same Goal or special education? If you don't feel comfortable asking them, feel free to email me directly or call.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to data map. Matt?
All right. So I probably won't share my screen, but on this first slide here. But yeah, the one to talk to me about data map. Not many of our districts, I think, are actually utilizing data map. So I wanted to talk about kind of what data map does. There are some updates for data map, but they're all kind of pretty boring updates where they just kind of made minor changes to certain tests that were being imported and certain corrections and certain fixes. If anybody's looking for those kinds of details, I know there's only a couple of you that use data map. I can always get those very specific fixes to you guys. But what does data map do? So data map does a couple of different things. Number one, it does your testing analysis. So you're loading in all of your state tests, all of your optional tests that you choose to do your districts, your Iowas, COGATs, MAPS testing, all that kind of stuff. You're uploading in there and you're able to run all kinds of different analysis on that to see how your students are performing, how students and certain teachers are performing to different areas, things like that. There's all kinds of different graphs and charts to kind of show different things you might be looking at, getting a little more details on. If you guys are looking to get a presentation for data map, let me know, and I can kind of show you all these different things in detail. I am doing two actual sessions in next week, so I am going to be doing a bunch of data map stuff. So if you're interested in this, just keep in mind as I'm talking about these features that you might want to ask if I can do a presentation with your district as well. In regards to that testing analysis, it also does, progression tracking of students. So it shows, let's say, if you're doing your NWEA tests, map tests, it'll show kind of like, your beginning of the year performance. It'll show different tests that are taken across the school year and, the final test result when they take their end of year test. So it kind of shows that progression for students over time. It has that data roadmap screen or student roadmap screen where it kind of shows everything about a student, all of their, their attendance cross year, all that testing information, discipline, all that kind of stuff, all in one place where you kind of get a whole picture of a student. That's why they call it that roadmap screen on there. Aside from the testing analysis, a huge portion of data map is just your intervention management. So whenever you're having these students and you're providing some kind of interventions, whether they're meeting with a reading group, to improve their RIMP scores, or any other kind of intervention you're doing to improve students, it will track all of the students, whether they're in a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 intervention, all of the who's providing that intervention, how often they're meeting, how long are the sessions, all that stuff's kind of tracked. It also allows you to then report performance on those interventions and ultimately make decisions whether they met their goal for that intervention or they didn't meet their goal, and it allows you to kind of see what's working with their students, what's not, and do those kinds of evaluations in there. So the intervention management is a big part of it. I know that certain districts in the state have been audited for that kind of stuff before, and having all that information in data map makes that audit that would take hours take just a couple seconds. Actually, that's like, I want to see everybody that's on a tier 1 intervention. Press a button that comes up. I want to see everybody that's on a tier 3 intervention. Press a button that comes up. Rather than, sifting through, let's say, hundreds or thousands of folders to kind of get this information and put it all together. So it makes that easy. Continuing, we have RIMPs. This is another big reason why districts pick up data map currently. It has the system for the teachers to write the RIMPs for the student. The cool thing, saw something come in chat. I noticed last year was some RIMPs available for teachers to use that were no longer valid for ODEs. The district's responsibility to uncheck those since. So with the RIMPs, when you're setting up, you can choose what RIMP codes you want to use in your district or do not want to use. So every year at the probably right before school starts or right as school's starting, those decisions are made as to what codes your teachers are allowed to submit under for your RIMPs. So that's something that's done by the administration every year. And then when those codes change, the new codes are loaded in there to be able to choose to use those. And it's a year by year thing. So I can set up this is what we're using this year. Next year, you might use something different. It's not like it's a global thing. But those RIMP scores, yeah, they're able to enter all that stuff, whether students on track, what are the different codes that they're under. And the really nice thing about that is it makes the EMIS submission super easy because all that information will flow directly from data map over to your EMIS submission. You basically press a button, it loads all the stuff in student information, and then you submit and you're ready to go. So that's kind of a big draw for data map as to why people want to use it. I kind of already mentioned that progression tracking with the student roadmap. Those things are kind of tied together, but that student roadmap is once again a really nice feature. It shows, I can click on a student, I can see exactly where they live on a map. I can see all kinds of information about that student. It's a really holistic view of that student and captures everything. So it's just kind of a useful screen that's in there. Starting to get down more on the lower side. This used to be a huge draw, was your student learning objectives, your SLOs. SLOs are no longer required by the state, so that is less of a motivation for people, but it has a fantastic student learning objectives module in there. So if you were still wanting to do student learning objectives for any kind of district policies or, proof of concept in terms of, students meeting goals and objectives and stuff at your district, it does that and it does it extremely well. Each teacher can go in there, they can set up SLOs for their class and for individual students and how they're measuring those growth measurements. And it does it all automatically, and it does it based on those same tests. So that top bullet point there, testing analysis. So if we're performing the student's math evaluation based on MAP scores, we'll have the beginning of the year MAP score, we'll have their end of year MAP score, and it does all the calculations and figures out if that student met their learning objectives for that year or not. So it can provide real world results that you guys are teaching students and are learning stuff. So it's not required by the state, but all that stuff still exists in there because it used to be a huge draw when SLOs were required. Everybody was using it for the SLOs. And then you have your graduation points tracking. It's kind of minor because there are graduation screens, and even Mag had talked about that earlier in the presentation, but there are some additional graduation points tracking type of information in data map. And those are kind of like the key points as to why you'd want to purchase data map, or if you were looking for any of those things and you guys were looking at different solutions for it, you guys might want to consider just having someone LACA do a presentation for you to see if it's going to be something your district would like or if it's something you wouldn't need. Any questions? Any other questions about data map? All right, so let's talk about a couple of the new reports that we have for this school year. There is a new daily attendance report. But give me 1 second here. I'm gonna pop something up on my screen.
Yeah, I
There
think
we
you
go.
have the ability to share, Matt. You should.
Fantastic. So we'll just kind of pop back and forth between these. It's gonna replace your share. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, let me take a quick screenshot of this slide really quick. That way I'll know exactly what I want to point out here. Fantastic. All right, so now I'll share my screen. Screen 3. Bingo. Let me know when you can see it. Sometimes it's delayed a little bit. Are you seeing my progress book window yet?
Yeah, I see it now.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna go over here to the principal screen. Some people, I'm gonna have to log back in again. We'll change our password later. All right, so you can look at it from the principal screen. If you have clerical access, everybody usually has a report builder area on their screen where they can kind of see all the reports. And let me pop up my little slideshow. There we go. So the new daily attendance reports. So if we go down under here, underneath attendance, these are all in alphabetical order. So you have administrative type reports. Attendance is up here towards the top. We have our daily attendance report. There was an old daily attendance report that was in the system. It didn't work exactly right. And so for that reason, since it really wasn't accurate, it was removed from the product. This report replaces that old one because there were some districts that were using it, except the good news is now all that information should be correct. So it's actually looking on the student information side. So if something was entered by the office staff and it wasn't entered by the teachers, this new version will be reporting anything that's entered by a teacher or entered by the office staff. Some student walks in late, and then they have a tardy, in the office. That information would all be appearing on the report where it wasn't showing both sides of the house, so to speak. So this new version corrects that. So if you're looking for that, that's where it resides now inside a report builder list. A big problem that was happening this school year with parent access, it was changed a little bit. So when you go in here and let's go ahead and do registration key maintenance. When you were going in there and creating your new registration keys and you were generating your keys, there is a new option here, which is include legal guardians with primary contacts. A lot of districts were requesting that, hey, we have several divorce situations going on. We want to give a key for both mom and dad. So we want to have 2 keys. And so if they check that box, other legal guardians would also be generated a key. So they made some changes in there to make that happen. One of the changes that also is in there is that it really looks a lot more at these primary contacts in there, and I kind of recoded that. And especially if your district uses final forms, you may have had final forms entering a primary contact for each individual student. So let's just say mom is a primary contact, Sally Smith. You may actually have 3 Sally Smiths inside your system, one for the kid at the elementary school, one for the kid at the middle school, and one for the kid for the high school, instead of one Sally Smith connected to all 3 students. And for that reason, they were kind of getting, since there were 2 Sally Smiths that really didn't have a parent account and tied to students, and the one that is, and usually tied to every student, it created extra emails and for those accounts. And what I've done is I made a new export. So when you go back to principal screen and you do your export registration keys for letters, I would not use this link currently because it's kind of a little bit bugged where you will get extra letters for those primary contacts that you didn't want. So what I did is I made a new export for that. Let's see. Come under keys. Yes, here we go. Okay, so it's under parent access on report builders, export registration keys for letters fixed. So this export here, if you still have to send out your letters, it will say, oh, does this parent or this person that has this email address already have an account? And if it finds somebody it's trying to make a new letter for somebody who already has an account with that email address, it basically ignores that. So it largely fixes the issue that's currently going on. So this would let you run letters for just new parents that don't have accounts. And if you went in and did the legal guardians, they would still get the legal guardians, but you wouldn't get, let's say, 3 extra letters for legal guardians. You should just get 1. So if that's new, if you have any problems with it, let me know, because we can always make adjustments to it as needed. But it was put in there to address the issue that we're having with the registration letters this year. Last but not least, in terms of these new reports on here, we have another attendance report. And let's see, attendance right down here. And it's the staff audit with percentages. And there's also another variation on that one now, a staff audit with percentages by grade. This runs very similar to your staff attendance audit report, which exists up here, which you're probably used to running every day to check your teachers have submitted attendance or not. This new one down here functions in almost the same exact way, except what it does is it tells you not only who's taking attendance. If they haven't taken attendance, they show up bright red. Once you have all the teachers and they have submitted attendance like they should, you shouldn't have any red on your report, and you know you're good to go. And then it's going to show you a percentage for each teacher for that day. It's going to say this teacher has, 95% of their kids there. It'll also show you a total for your building. So we have 93% attendance today or 87% attendance today. It shows you that day. On a Friday, I'll show you this. I'll pop it up here. Where'd that pop up this go? There we go. So when you run a report, you're going to pick your school that you're going to run it for. Let's just say Lakewood Elementary School. And if we're going to run it for today, we can just click on today. I'm not actually going to run it. Just to let you know, if you're running it and it's a Friday, I can tell you I wanted to run it for last week. If I run it it's got to be on a Friday. If I say, that's why it says Friday date in there. If I say yes, it'll actually give me a report for the entire week. So it'll show me Monday's percentages, Tuesday's percentages, and then at the end of the week on a Friday, it shows you the percentage for the entire week. It gives you that whole. So for the entire week, Lakewood Elementary might be at 94% attendance for that week. And then there are these options on here. Tardies do not count against you. If your kid was like 2 minutes late, were they there? Yes, they were there. So you have the option of counting those yes or no against your percentage count. Whether you count absences, yes, we count absences against them. Partials are typically a couple hours gone. So you can say, yes, we want to count those against us or not in terms of our percentages. And then non-absences would typically field trips, things like that wouldn't count against you. But you have the options of turning any of those on or off, and based on those selections, will change your percentage. I had somebody say we'd like to know it by grade level. So that's what that second attendance report is there. Attendance percentages by grade. So if you run that, it's almost the same exact report, except this one breaks it down by grade level. So it'll tell you first grade, 94% for attendance. Second grade, 87% attendance today. And I'll break it down by grade level. So if you're looking to get those, you would run that second version. I would always run the first one first to check every teacher and make sure they submit attendance, because if one of your first grade teachers hasn't submitted their attendance yet, your number is not going to be accurate, because that's not going to count towards your attendance for the day. So you got to make sure everything's submitted before you run the report and check those reds to make sure you have everything in there. It will show up red on the other report, but I would just usually run it the other way first. That way you can check each homeroom. Makes it a little bit easier. And that one also runs daily or weekly. Going back to my slideshow, I've been asked to have a monthly version, and since September is kind of coming to an end right here, we're going to include it to where it's going to run daily, weekly, and monthly. So if you want to get monthly numbers for, let's say, all of September, I'm going to add an option. It's not in there yet, but soon you'll have an option where you can say, I want to run it for a month, and you'll be able to see the entire month total. All right. So that's all I really need to show on my screen. I'll let Megan go ahead and bring your slideshow back up. But next thing on there is just if everybody has any kind of other custom reports you need in there, remember to submit those over to me. We can get any kind of, a lot of this stuff is built just because people ask for it. So I get these requests, I put the reports in the system. That's how it happens. If it's a really important thing, it might be sooner than later. We get to them on as needed basis and produce those. So we're trying. And obviously, if it's something for like state reporting or something, it's going to have a little bit more of an emphasis to get done than something else. It's just a minor request. And then I was also wondering if somebody, or if a lot of you would like to have a beginning of the year reports meeting where basically I could show several different reports that you could run at the beginning of the school year. You know, it's kind of getting toward the end of September now, but just different kinds of reports you could run to kind of check to make sure everything was in the system the way you wanted it, and kind of make those beginning of the year hurdles a little easier to get over. So let me know, or if you want to if you guys are interested in something like that, I'm more than happy to do it. If you're not interested, then we don't need to do it. But if you put it in the chat and just say, if you're interested in getting something like that, let me know. And then we can put out an email to the group if we decide to do that. Could we go to the next slide? Is there a next slide?
Yeah, can you guys see my screen?
Oh, whoops. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my screenshot. It's right over top of your
Okay,
slide.
you're all right. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, vendor connections. Okay. So, yeah, and I'm still working on all your vendor integrations, you know, your Clevers, your Easy Bridge, and all those kinds of things. Just a reminder, you know, the earlier you let me know about those things, the more apt you are to actually have everything ready to go when you start. Let's say, for example, if you're bringing up something for the next school year, letting me know in June or even earlier at the end of the previous school year that you're going to be picking up this new software, you'll definitely be ready to go, you know, whenever you start up in August. You know, if you let me know 2 days before the school year starts, your software is probably not going to be up and running. So just, you know, get those things to us as early as possible. If you're making connections with any of these vendors, you're looking with one of their implementation specialists or something like that, get me in contact with those people. That way I can work with those individuals, and it'll be as smooth as possible in that transition to get those vendor products and applications turned on for you. I think that was the last slide for me. But any questions with any of that stuff? All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. And now Brianne and Shelley.
Great. So everybody's favorite topic is EMIS. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the new discipline incident or discipline type code of 9. Towards the end of the year last year, discipline code type 8 became available to use for expulsions, and that was the expulsion under board policy to extend. This year, they are adding discipline type code of 9, which is prior expulsion extended under board policy to extend. Since they added this, if you guys have the board policy to be able to extend expulsions, you guys want to make sure that you go into progress book or student information and add that discipline type code of 9 and make sure 8's in there and it's coded right for the EMIS type, and make sure all of that's added. Next slide. So in order to be able to even use this, districts must have a board policy in place. You can only use code 9 when the student had previously been expelled with discipline type code of 8. So at the initial expulsion, when they're initially expelled, you would use 8, and then the next one would be 9 for the same discipline incident. So anytime after July 1st of 2025 and after the board policy has been put in place, code 9 may be used to extend an expulsion that includes requirements students must meet by a specific date to return to the district. If the expulsion requirements have not been completed, then the expulsion may be extended to a later date. Go to the next slide. Okay. More information is coming on how and when this new code needs to be reported to ODE. We're probably not going to have a lot of information right now. The change for this isn't even final until December 14th. So it's not going to even be able to be available to submit to ODE until at least December, if not later. Frontline is making updates to these for this expulsion, and it's expected to come in the future 25.2 release, not to be confused with the 25.1 that's getting ready to come out. There is a known issue within student information with industry credentials. The industry credentials that were valid in the 24-25 school year are not showing in the 25-26 school year. Frontline knows about this. They are working on a resolution and will let us know when it has been resolved. The student truancy FT records, we are getting information that those truancy records are no longer EMIS reportable for FY26 and beyond. But Frontline is keeping that screen within student information, and they're not planning on removing it at this time. And they stated it was because that screen is still going to be super helpful to districts to track attendance and things like that. It's not confirmed because the FT record is still within the EMIS manual at this point. We haven't seen any difference that it's not coming, but if it does get removed, EMIS coordinators, when you go to transfer your period S data to the data collector, you can uncheck that FT record so it doesn't get submitted. If you don't, those FT records will just fade on and they won't go to ODE, which is fine. It's just your personal preference on how you want to handle that. FT records never got reported until mid-year opened up for traditional districts and community schools. That was your end of year student collection. But as we get more information, we'll add it to our monthly meetings or send an email out to EMIS coordinators. Frontline is also working on the new FM records that are coming out that we have to start reporting. FM records are, again, they're optional for this year, but they are mandatory next year. And we've already told our EMIS coordinators that once this is out, we highly suggest you guys start working on these, getting all the bugs fixed that's in there. So that way, when next year rolls around, everything's ready to go and you don't have any issues. But once Frontline gets this set up and it gets into a release, we'll make sure we talk about this and how that stuff's going to get reported. I added the frequently asked questions link to the slide. Megan had it also earlier in this slide, but if you have any additional questions on the new attendance laws, that is the link to go to. These are all of our upcoming meetings up until December, from now until December. EMIS Alliance trainings are great. The federal child count, Jenny talked about earlier for special ed staff. EMIS coordinators, please invite your special ed people to come and attend with you or get online and listen as well if they're not able to come in person. All of our meetings, all of our EMIS Alliance and monthly meetings, open labs, everything, we have the option of in-person and Zoom. So, and that link is out there on LACA's website and Connect's website to sign up. I think the only one we don't allow and a Zoom option is that one at the end of the year when we go over report cards. But all of our meetings for the entire year are on the website. So all of them, you can go out and register. The dates are out there. Everything's been confirmed. So any questions about EMIS? Okay.
Thank you. The next thing I have is just roundtable discussion. We have a tentative date of January 29th for our next meeting, next team leader meeting. We'll go over a lot of the, all the updates that have come out at that point in time. But I did not have it on here. I typically start the new school year SYI process in December. Usually once we get that release with that new school year, I will send out an email to all of you saying, this is the form I need filled out before I can build your new year. You're probably used to that same form. It's, I'm going to send it out and I'm going to say, if you want your new year built, this is what I need. And then once that new year is built, that's when folks can start the scheduling process. So keep in mind, nobody is able to start, like high schools, middle schools, they can't start that scheduling process in that new school year until I have it built. And typically, like I said, I will send that out in December timeframe. So be on the lookout for that. I think usually I get a lot of those forms back and I build the new districts and the new buildings when you guys are all off over your holiday break. So it is nice to get that taken care of during that time frame. So be on the lookout for emails in regards to that. I will probably get a little annoying with sending information about getting that stuff returned. But that is our next tentatively scheduled meeting is January 29th. And then I will also post this meeting out on our YouTube videos, and right there's the website for that. And I will email a follow-up of the new PowerPoint also if you had that. There were a couple of minor changes from what was sent yesterday, so I will send you the new PowerPoint. Are there any questions, or do you guys want to talk about anything? This is a time where we can chat with other districts. If you want to, maybe ask how a product is working for a specific district, or how you guys are, my favorite topic is data storage. How are you storing your end of year reports at districts? Are you printing them? Do you still have the file cabinet CUME folder, or what's your process? So now's the chance that we're going to open it up and just kind of hear from all of you. So this is when you talk. Are you still there?
I guess the only question I have, sorry, I'm that guy, almost ready to end it.
You're fine. I appreciate it.
With respect to the expulsion codes 8 and 9, I think that's probably referring to, making sure I'm correct, that's probably referring to a student who was expelled but offered an opportunity to return to school, and that expulsion was held in some sort of an abeyance based on a, okay, I'm off. Go ahead, Shep, or
No.
Brianne, sorry. Got it.
No, when an expulsion is held in abeyance, it's not technically the student wasn't expelled. You wouldn't
Got
report
it.
that the kid was expelled at all. So
Yeah.
this is more of that new thing that came out at the end of last year where districts are able to extend an expulsion. So students have to meet certain requirements in order to
Okay.
be able to come back. And it has to be set up during the initial expulsion hearing. So you set up all their requirements, and you have to have that board policy in place stating that
Mhm.
you can do that. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anybody else? Well, if there are no other questions or any feedback,
Okay,
oh,
Megan.
go ahead,
Megan,
Kathy.
it's Kathy. I'm so sorry. Okay,
Don't.
so I will just bring this up. We have no like data mine or anything. We used to use DocuShare because that was our registration system. Now we have Final Form, so we hold documents in there. As far as reports that I save at the end of the year, I keep them in an email file and on our server at Northridge in my file there. So there's really, I may not be aware that there's some kind of data mine that you're offering that we can keep things in. But that is at least our district's way of storing things now. So I don't know if you were looking for information, but there you got it.
Thank you. I appreciate that because we've had a lot of conversations with folks that really rely on just going back into the school years within student information and running old transcripts or running things. But we run into issues because some of the testing that was available at that time that is no longer in the system, they run a transcript and they can't get something to print on the transcript that that child at that point in time needed. So it's we really strongly, and I send this message out at the end of every year, run these reports, store them somewhere, do that. I was curious where everyone is storing them, or if the thought process is, well, I'm going to go back in time and just run my transcript then and just pull it for that kid if they walk into my office. But I've had a lot of requests lately for like a student that graduated in 2005 or 2006 coming back and wanting a transcript. So I've been able to locate, years ago before we transferred to even student information, they used to provide CDs of, all of the data. I don't know if anybody remembers that. But they used to provide CDs of the data. So I was able to go in and find a transcript from 2005 that the district didn't have. And I thought that that was odd that the district didn't have that data. So I'm just curious. I think it's a good time to reevaluate your specific district policies on how you are saving the data, where you're saving it. Is it in the file cabinet? So if someone from 2005 comes in, I can go and pull a transcript and just get a copy of that. Do you have those old CDs from your previous software? What is the thought process behind saving that data, the report cards and that kind of thing? So that more or less was why I brought that up, and just kind of curious how everyone handles those situations. But it sounds like you're just saving them internally, which is great. So all those year-end reports, you're running them and then saving them on your local drives. So thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, and with just mentioning that data and how it's stored, it's just a great reminder that same goal, student information. Um, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
You
you're good.
can hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, you're good.
I can't hear you. Okay. So just as a reminder that this is important to have data downloaded or stored somewhere else, as student information is meant for a live data and it's not meant for storage or your records, even with same goals. So thank you for bringing that up, Megan.
Yeah, no problem. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you guys for joining us today. Again, be on the lookout when the new release is out. I know Beth usually sends something. I know Bree and Shelly send something to the EMIS coordinators. Jenny always sends something to her same goal group, and I'll send out SI information as those new releases come and the detailed information within those release, and usually the release notes also. So keep an eye out, and please get with us if you need anything else. We're here to help you guys. So enjoy the rest of your day today.